Why is it so hard for students to understand abstract ideas? This is the question Willingham discusses in Chapter 4 of Why Students Don't Like School. He answers this question in 3 ideas.
First, remembering is understanding in disguise. In the previous chapter, we discussed how students end up gathering information and store it in memory. But how can we make sure the students are understanding this information? This can be answered by taking new ideas and connecting them to old ones. Analogies are a great tool because they embody the idea of connecting old with new. Concrete analogies are also a necessity so that abstract ideas can be properly learned, but just providing a concrete example will not suffice. The students need to have familiarity with the example for understanding to occur. A concrete example is not useful if students have no idea what the example is. This is a key component to understanding new ideas.
Second, there are varying degrees of understanding. This understanding can range from deep to shallow. We often see students in our classroom who are able to complete work, but it is often in the exact language that we presented the material in, but it is used incorrectly. This is rote knowledge, and it shows that the student has no understanding. A more common phenomenon is called shallow understanding. This is where students have some understanding, but it is limited. Understanding is usually tied only to the context that it was learned under. In hindsight, a student has deep knowledge of a concept when they understand everything, can transfer this knowledge to other examples, and can see similarities and differences in the different examples. Students are able to make predictions about what will happen if something is changed in the problem as well. Deep understanding is the goal of all students, but it is rarely achieved.
Willingham's last big idea in this chapter discusses knowledge transfer. This is perhaps the most frustrating part of teaching. A student finally understands a concept but cannot transfer and use this knowledge in a new problem. As discussed earlier, analogies are useful to students. However, when a problem has a different surface structure, a student can no longer use analogies to solve a problem. Even if alike problems have the same deep structure, students have trouble transferring ideas when they cannot see past the surface structure.
As Willingham has been teaching us, it is difficult to learn. How can we as teachers make it easier for students to understand ideas and transfer knowledge? First, expose students to many examples. Make sure these examples are familiar to students. Further, allow opportunities for students to compare diverse examples so they can think about the deep structure that is common among examples that have differing surface structure.
Second, make deep knowledge and the unspoken emphasis in your lessons. Make sure you are not just asking factual, shallow questions. This will push students past shallow knowledge into deep understanding. Also, make sure deep knowledge is assessed. This will give students the impression that it is important.
Last, make expectations for deep knowledge realistic. Deep knowledge is the result of a lot of practice and hard work. Be patient if it does not come quickly for all students. Sometimes, shallow knowledge is better than no knowledge at all. With these ideas in mind, you can help your students understand abstract ideas and transfer their knowledge into new areas. All any teacher can truly hope for is to start students down the path to deep understanding or at least continue their progress.